Have you ever heard someone say, oh, that's a fixed cost, there's nothing we can do about that? Well, what is a fixed cost exactly? Well, it's a cost that's going to remain constant regardless of any changes in the activity level. And by activity level, we're talking about things like the number of units that the firm produces. So if the firm produces 50 units instead of 25, that cost is still going to behave the same. It's still going to be exactly the same. Let's just take a really simple example here. So like the cost of a business license. So if you want to open a pizzeria and it costs $500 to get a business license, doesn't matter how many pizzas you make throughout the year, right? Your units produced doesn't have any effect on what this cost is going to be. That cost is always going to be $500, right? It doesn't matter whether you make a single pizza or you make 1,000. So let's use a more complicated example though. Let's think about a manufacturing plant and this plant makes trucks. So this plant manufactures trucks, and we say, okay, this plant, let's say it costs $50 million. So this is a $50 million plant, and let me actually, we'll graph this out and take a look at how the cost behaves. So let's say that right here is that cost, and it's 50 million. Just have 50M. And then the number of units produced, or trucks, we'll have down here. That looks like an A instead of a U. That's our number of trucks, and we'll just say, let's say here's 10,000, and then we've got 20,000, and then we've got 30,000. Now, how is the cost going to behave as the number of units that we produce changes? Well, look, for our factory, let's just say, okay, well, we can make 10,000 trucks, we can make 30,000. Doesn't matter, the factory still costs the same. It's still $50 million. So the way this is going to look is we're just going to have a flat line here. And that line doesn't look exactly flat, but that's my fault. So basically, this cost is not changing. Irrespective of how many trucks we make, it doesn't change. But if you think about this intuitively for a moment, what if this went from 10,000 to 1,000,000? What if we were talking about 1,000,000 trucks? Well, now all of a sudden we start saying, well, you know what? Maybe we actually need to get another factory. So in that case, what we say is that this cost, although it's fixed at 50 million, we say, well, it's fixed within a relevant range. And what we mean by the relevant range is, let's say that we think the max amount of trucks we can make is 50,000. And we know, okay, well, then between 0 and 50,000, from 0 to 50,000, then the cost is going to be 50 million. All right. But if we go beyond 50,000, well, we can't accommodate that in our current plant. So we're actually going to have to build another plant, and then that's another 50 million. So the idea being that it's important to remember that not all costs are completely fixed, right? Something like a business license, okay, you're not going to need another business license if you make more pizza than you thought you were going to. However, some costs that we might think, oh, a plant that's fixed, you got to bear in mind, okay, well, fixed within what range? Because if the amount of units that we produce actually takes off beyond what our wildest expectations are, or maybe down the road, it's entirely possible that this cost we thought was fixed might actually behave a little bit differently when we get outside the relevant range.